the point is to get the body really relaxed so that any questions you have, any concerns you have, anything like that, that you can put forward and those answers come. Because your subconscious mind is a busy little one. The subconscious, I always liken to about an 8-year-old child, where it's very busy, it's very involved with self. It's not to the age yet where it's tremendously PC. I say we really need to get back to her or him, because that little person inside really has your best interest at heart, is super selfish, which we need to get, oftentimes to figure ourselves out, we have to go inward. Hypnosis in this book is like the most selfish self-help book you could ever buy, because it's only about you. It's not about your brother, your sister, your cousins, your uncles, your aunts. It's all about you, not even about your children. And it's a beautiful thing because it's tailored. When you read it, you think about you, and that's exactly where I want you.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Permission to Heal. I hope you found it moving and inspirational. Please remember, you don't need anyone else's permission to trust and follow your heart. You have the power within you. Subscribe to Permission to Heal so you don't miss any new episodes, and please share this with your friends. Hello, and welcome to Permission to Heal. I am Marcy Brockman, and I am thrilled that you are here. Today, I had the privilege, the honor, the delight in speaking with Kimberly Friedmutter. She is a celebrity hypnotherapist from Las Vegas. She is a former actress and a former model. She is the author of a wonderful book that I am loving called Subconscious Power. Use your inner mind to create the life you've always wanted. She is, as I said, a certified hypnotherapist, a member at large of the prestigious UCLA Health System Board, an American Board of Hypnotherapy, Association for Integrative Psychology, American Board of Neuro-Linguistic Programming, International Hypnosis Federation. She's a master hypnotist with over 20 years in the process, over 20 or 30 years in the business, has worked with very famous, internationally famous politicians and Hollywood types and actors and actresses and high-powered corporate folks, and really helping people figure out what their subconscious wants them to do, how to overcome self-limiting habits and self-limiting beliefs and become the person the universe has always meant them to be. It's amazing. She is currently in private practice in Las Vegas, but does most of her clients online via video chat and so on. She divides her time between Nevada and California, and her philosophy is expect the exceptional. She is a former model and actress, appearing with a whole bunch of people who you've all heard of, including John Stamos and Olympia Dukakis. She's been in films, she's been in TV, she's been on radio, she's been interviewed by everybody. She's just so knowledgeable, and I had such curiosity around hypnotherapy. My mom had gone like 20 years ago to a hypnotherapist who helped her quit smoking. And it worked. She had a couple of sessions and never picked a cigarette up again. And I have been thinking about this as a modality to help myself get further in my own mental health growth process. And I had been thinking that I needed to find a hypnotherapist to talk to about all of this. And then within a matter of days, her publicist sent me a pitch to have her on Permission to Heal. So I'm a firm believer in manifestation, and I asked the universe for a hypnotherapist, and they sent me the best, Kimberly Friedmutter. You're going to love this conversation. Thank you so much for being here. And if you like the episode as much as I know you will, please like, please share, please subscribe, please share with your friends, and leave us a great review. Thank you so much for being here. My pleasure. So welcome, Kimberly. I'm so
Yay.
excited that you're here. The universe brought me a hypnotherapist, probably the best or most famous one, I should say.
Probably both.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Absolutely.
You know, I have a quick little funny story about that. My husband was having hip replacement surgery, and I said to the surgeon, what makes you feel, as we were in our interview process, and I said, what makes you feel like you're the best surgeon for my husband? And he said, I'm the best surgeon for anyone. And
Nice.
I said, and my husband said, you're hired, because we loved that kind of self-fullness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not ego, not any of that, but just where you really know your lane and you really know where you're placed. And so, yes, to both of those. And you're welcome.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So I know very blessed little about hypnotherapy, about hypnosis in general. All I know is what I've gotten from reading your book so far and from watching your YouTube videos and perusing your website for an hour or so. So where do we start with this? Like, as newbies, I'm sure most of my listeners haven't had much experience with hypnotherapy either. And since we're all here because we're giving ourselves permission to heal, this is a modality we can't do without. So can you introduce us to this new thing for us?
Sure. And you're absolutely right. Not only can you not do without it, but you've actually been doing with it since you came into this planetary experience. Hypnosis is nothing more than deep sleep. Trance is nothing more than deep sleep, hypnosis. And so what it is really going back to, we're double-minded. I guess I should start there. We're double-minded. We have conscious mind and subconscious mind. The subconscious mind and unconscious are the same thing. It's just terminology. So I choose to use subconscious because if you watch any television these days, anybody drinking on all these crazy shows, they're always unconscious. I don't like to use the term unconscious, but anyway, so understanding that conscious and subconscious, so those are the two parts of us. Conscious mind runs your day, go pick up the kids at 3, executes all of the things that you need to do, and so important to do. And then the second part of the mind is the subconscious mind, which I think is the best part of the mind, which is your emotions, your perspective, your feelings about things, your sleep, your intracellular healing, things that you do on automatic where you don't normally have to think about them. So conscious is thinking and unconscious or subconscious is non-thinking. So I chose to go into that part of the mind as a business because that's all the touchy-feely stuff, such as, am I going to find the best parking spot? Is this person for me for short-term, mid-term, long-term? How do I find lost items around the house? I mean, it can be something as simple as that.
Really?
Or how did I create this disease? How do I keep running these unhealthy patterns, unecological patterns in my life? Something as serious as that. So you see, we get a broad span and this beautiful amount of pendulum swing in our behavior just by looking and learning about our subconscious.
So you help your clients and your readers with your book figure out how to tap into that themselves.
Yes,
and it's actually, need a person to guide us, or can we learn to do it on our own?
So my book is about self-hypnosis. It's teaching people or readers how to self-hypnotize through experiences that are client-based experiences. So for example, if you continually are sabotaging yourself, or negative self-talk, or mommy day drinking, or daddy garage smoking, it can be any of these things. What's great is if you have a brain, you're in the game and there's something to fix. Like, for example, I went to my first hypnotist because I had a talk radio show on the Howard Stern station, which was 97.1 KLSX in Los Angeles. And it was the FM talk station there that everyone listened to. So when I got that show, I started really experiencing angst and dread and all of the things that people associate with public speaking. So I hired a hypnotist to help me with that. And in one session, she completely took that feeling away of stage fright or fear and angst and dread and all of that. Because what I knew subconsciously is that I wanted to enjoy that time I was doing it. I didn't want to dread it. Much like if you have, a blended family and you have, you're pulled 1,000 directions and you don't want to go the way and do that for Johnny, but you know that this one is pulling at your attention. And, life can be so stressful. So dread enters in, and it really makes it oftentimes intolerable for people in different ways. So to eliminate that, you can literally feel different and change your perspective about how you see things. And that we get to through the subconscious. So to answer your question, yes, you can self-hypnotize. It's the best kind ever. Something bothers me, I say, oh, I need to work on that tonight right before I go to bed. I lay down, I think through the thing, I contact my subconscious, which is really getting in touch with that primal instinctual part of us, that gut instinct, that thing that we all have. I'm here to tell you that your gut instincts are right. Your primal instincts are right. So listen to them. Take 1 week. If you don't believe it, if you're someone who needs convincing, then just take 1 week and follow your instincts for 1 week solid, no matter how crazy it feels or seems. And then just do what your instincts are saying to do. And then
provided it's the same as intuition.
Yes, it's the same as intuition. We call it a lot of different things. But as long as it's something ecological, I'm not saying, oh, my primal instinct said jump off the building and I did. Not saying that at all. What I'm saying is something, something that's not ecological does not apply. I did have someone, and I talk about the story in the book, that came to me to surf the big wave. That was not ecological to remove fear from that subconscious. That's something that we have for our protection and our safety. We don't want an abundance, I guess I should say, of fear in something that's phobic or not, doesn't make reasonable sense, of course, but you see where you go with that. And then like just yesterday, I thought, I'm going to drive to the front and see if I just happen to see a parking space in a spot where there just wasn't. I'm just going to let my hands turn the wheel. And sure enough, boom, right there. It made no sense. It was the perfect spot right next to the door. Like, things like that, that you really can make your life simpler, easier, and sometimes even save it listening to your instincts.
Interesting. I can think of 1,000 ways that I rely on my intuition every day in the classroom. I teach 11th and 12th grade English during the day, and I have this ability to sense an energy shift in one of my students, or when somebody's in distress, or just like a half a millisecond of looking at their face, and I can tell something's wrong.
Wow.
And so I'm not really sure what my question is. So tapping into that is relational to hypnosis?
Yes. So for example, like when we dream, that's all subconscious. So there's a lot of scrutiny and not a lot of clear facts on what dreams are exactly. A lot of people believe it's just a dumping ground for things that our senses take in during the day. Some people believe it's only things that need to be worked out and highly symbolic. If you dream of teeth or your teeth falling out, for example, someone might say, oh, your marriage is broken, like whatever, pigs flying, there's all these different assessments.
It could just be you need to go to the dentist.
Right. Or it could be you need to go to the dentist, or it could just be that something you saw in the day in one split second reminded you of teeth. What's neat about dreams is, because it's a subconscious thing that's happening, is that you can control them. So for example, people will come to me that have night terrors, and they'll come with, dreams that they'd like to not have, nightmares that they're having. So what I suggest is that they become conscious during their unconscious sleep. So for example, if I said to you, let's say that was your issue, and I said, so tonight when you go to bed, and tonight when that dream starts to come up or that nightmare starts to emerge, you're going to ask it questions. What can I do for you? Why are you here? What messages do you have? What do you have to tell me? What can I learn from you? Or simply back up, go away. I don't want to see you in my dreams anymore. So we can participate at any point in time. When you're in that beautiful twilight spot of sleep, you're not quite asleep, not quite awake. And then in the nighttime before you go to bed, you're like that. And then in the morning when you're waking up, the same. It's an amazing time to really practice that kind of 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And it feels so good. It gives you this sense of control, which you always have. I want anyone listening or watching to know you always have control over your thoughts. Thoughts are a choice. They may roll in, but they're a choice, whether you
don't
take
have
them
to let them
file them.
stay.
Yeah, it's like a piece of paper on your desk. If you put a piece of paper on my desk, I choose, do I keep it? Do I trash it? Or do I file it? Or do I look at it? What do I do with it? So every thought you have is that. So getting control and feeling like you have this sense of agency over your own thoughts is extremely powerful.
Yeah, I've had times where I'm in that twilight sort of waking up, but I'm really loving my dream. And I will myself to go back into it. And most of the time I'm successful in getting back there.
That's how people explain near-death experiences, the same. They either will themselves to go toward or away from that experience. So it's a beautiful moment that you can just not be ready for, and you just slide right back into where you were, like a little placeholder.
That's cool. That's cool. So, okay. So I don't know.
Well, I can ask you. I can share with you. Let me share with you. I mean, if you're okay with me stepping in, let me share with you. Yes. Because some people, the things that are most asked, and I do a lot of interviews and people ask a lot of questions. And one thing they'll ask is, what's the difference between hypnosis and meditation?
Yeah, that is one of my questions. Okay.
Yes, I figured it might be. I thought I'd just jump in.
Please.
Meditation is where you're really focusing on keeping thoughts out. They start the same. Okay. Hypnosis and meditation start the same, which is many protocols start with quiet your mind and center yourself and get in a nice quiet place and some place where you're uninterrupted. What I like to do is I like to imagine a warm ray of golden light coming in through the top of my head. That feels like deity to me. You imagine this, closing your eyes and just imagining this warm ray of golden light coming in through the top of your head and slowly starting to warm up and to tingle the little follicles around your hair, something that tiny, little micro movements of feeling that warm ray of golden light. And you can either feel it, you can see it, chances are you're doing both.
Right.
That's where I like to start. With meditation, we're typically keeping thoughts away, at bay, so that there's just just nothingness, just quietude, right? With hypnosis, it's actually the opposite, is we're allowing thoughts in. We want those. So that warm ray of golden light starts to really relax the little tiny muscles back behind your eyes, the little tiny little muscles back behind your ears and through your jawline, letting your mouth just fall open. So you really start to feel that giving way. Oftentimes I'll say your muscles feel like warm butter melting on a hot pavement on a hot summer day. That's very good in Las Vegas during the summer.
Yes, very evocative.
That visual, right? So anyway, the point is to get the body really relaxed so that any questions you have, any concerns you have, anything like that you can put forward and those answers come. Because your subconscious mind is a busy little one. The subconscious, I always liken to about an 8-year-old child, where it's very busy. It's very involved with self. It's not to the age yet where it's tremendously PC. I say we really need to get back to her or him, because that little person inside really has your best interest at heart, is super selfish, which we need to get, oftentimes to figure ourselves out. We have to go inward. Hypnosis in this book is like the most selfish self-help book you could ever buy, because it's only about you. It's not about your brother, your sister, your cousins, your uncles, your aunts. It's all about you, not even about your children. And it's a beautiful thing because it's tailored. When you read it, you think about you, and that's exactly where I want you. Because again, you have a brain, you're in the game. Who doesn't need like a little tune-up? Who doesn't need the halo buffed a little bit, and readjusted a little bit, a little gilding, a little polish, a little shine? So it's really inside of you. Because one thing, like on the back, of my book, I have some really lovely quotes from people like Jennifer Hudson, Martha Stewart, Mike Tyson,
Nice.
different spiritual people in the world, a lot of different professionals who have been high performing professionals in our world. And what happens is that every single one of them says, my life turned out like I never could have imagined, never could have dreamt the size, the magnitude, the uberness of the life that they live. And what I find is that when you go within and when you tap into that thing, you're sending these messages, you're emitting, like similar to what you said, how we met was that you emitted out the desire, the need, the wouldn't that be niceness of it, right? And then someone grabbed it, channeled it right in, grabbed it, and then contacted me for this. And so the beauty of this is that I want you to have the life you want for yourself. I want the life I want for myself. But guess what life I want more for you and for me? I want the life that the universe has for you. I want the life that the universe has for me. I want the life that the universe has for your listeners or your viewers. What happens is when you tap into that life, you're magic.
Unlimited.
All of a sudden,
limitless.
you're vibrating. Those things, those calls are answered, that your phone is ringing. It's tapping into a source bigger than ourselves. Self-hypnosis is really opening you up to be a portal for everything you've ever wanted that you don't even know you want, that you can't even imagine that you want or need. That's the beauty of it. When you start seeing the magnitude and the reach of that vibration, all of a sudden it's convinced to you. It's places and things and meetings and connections that you never in your life could have done yourself. That's when I say, excellent. That's what every single high performer that I've ever known or spoken to or worked with has ever said about their life, is that it was bigger than they ever imagined. That's where we want to be. And it's not only about money. It's not only about fame. It's about the richness of your life. The only thing that really matters.
Impact, meaning, connections, relationships, that is.
Yeah, whatever that is for you, whatever that is for you. If it's, whatever, I mean, we all have different things. That richness at the end of your day and my day and your viewers' days, that richness is what we're after. That I did it. This was awesome. What a great ride. What nice final thoughts for, tapping out when we leave this place, wherever we go.
Right.
What a nice thought.
So how do you get from a state of not knowing to a state of knowing? Like I have a lot of questions. I have some nasty recurrent internal monologue going on where I say horrible things to myself that in 1,000 years I'd never say to someone else. And I'm better at catching it and squashing it and sending it into oblivion than I've ever been, but it's still persistently there. I have sort of a consistent, persistent emotional relationship with food that I'm trying to get rid of, or at least make healthier.
We don't want to ever get rid of our relationship with food, because
but the negative aspect of it. And I know in my gut that I'm meant for more than this. And I've been expanding. I wrote 2 books. I have the podcast going. I'm growing my community. I'm going back to get a 3rd master's degree. I'm going to become a therapist. Like I'm adding all these things, and I know I'm on the right road, but I don't know. Like I feel like there's not a shortcut, but like a more direct line to figuring this out, and I can't quite find it.
Okay, so then I would say add up until now. So my little additives, you know how when you open up a fortune cookie, people say like to add the words in bed or something. Funny or whatever. I have those additives of my own. And anytime you start to think something that you can't do or haven't done or
haven't yet been able to,
up until now, I want you to add up until now. The second thing is, anytime negative self-talk starts to come in, the first thing obviously is awareness. It sounds like you've got that covered. So when you become aware, I want you to say, cancel, cancel. Cancel is because our subconscious, or that little 8-year-old, she or he, is inside of us and takes in everything like a little stenographer.
Right.
Oh, sunny day, time to play. Oh, cloudy day, go away. Oh, this one likes me. This one doesn't. This one's good. This one's bad. All of those things, all the judgments, all the opinions, all the everything, just and then hits send, right? And files it away. So when you say cancel, some people prefer delete, but I use cancel. I write about this extensively in the book because oftentimes we're the ones in our own way.
Sure.
And we're the ones that we can control. So that's like perfect. If I'm in my way and I can control me, perfect. Let's do that.
We're the only ones we can control.
The only one we can control. And you can, and you will. And he, that little 8-year-old inside of us insists on it. And, oftentimes is the one squeaky wheel, so to speak, that's saying, come on, pushing us for greatness. So that's the one. So you want to say cancel, because that doesn't file it away. That cancel means not for you. I do this at dinner if I'm with someone who is a chronic, and I do have friends that are chronic complainers or whiners or whatever, they just do. They're just like family, basically. Sure. And so I just tuck my thumbs and I usually cross my arms and I'm like, really, this is fascinating. And I'm listening and I'm, just like you would enjoy someone and authentically enjoy them, but I don't want their stuff in. I don't. And sometimes my husband will look at me and my legs are crossed and my feet are crossed and I'm like this. And he looks at me
like you're armoring up there to protect.
And I don't even realize it. But if I think back on the conversation, I think, well, of course, this was my natural, body form falling back into the fetal position. So what happens is if you say cancel, your body will not have to respond to what the brain's taking in. The brain, let's just say that you think you're not good enough for whatever reason, then that thought comes in, and it's not words, it's thoughts.
Right.
Cancel. Someone else says something to you that you don't want to take in. It doesn't need to be about you, but if they say, oh my gosh, I had the worst luck today. Personally, I say cancel inside myself, my quiet voice. And so you'll see things start to turn around. And then if you do it with a mate or roommate, brother, sister, parent, whatever, it's tons of fun, because when they say something, then you go cancel. And then they say cancel. And it becomes like this whole thing. And then, the whole family's on board with it. It really is fun. And you do it, of course, with love and in the spirit of fun. Not, to be annoying, but between those two things up until now, because like a client might sit down and say, oh my gosh, the problem is, the issue is, the problem is. And I say up until now, because the minute, just like cellular renewal for our faces, your skin is beautiful. I'm sure you take excellent care of it. In that process, cellular renewal is part of that process. That turnover is that allow yourself, your personality, we can all change. And yes, leopards do change their spots. I watch a lot of the National Geographic and they do change. So the thing is that you too can have this turnover. You can always improve and, expand, even move out of behaviors, move into new ones. We're constantly, everything's about change. It's actually nothing static if you want to look at it that way. Nothing stays the same.
What's the quote? I don't even, the only
the only thing that's for sure that stays the same is change.
Yeah. That's it. You got it.
The only thing you can count on is change. Something.
Yeah, it was knotted up in my brain. I couldn't clarify.
Yeah, it's actually it's the flip. So really nothing. I mean, cellular renewal, perfect example. Nothing is static. Nothing.
Constantly
change is what we do expect. Someone said to me in an interview a few years back, they said, oh, did your success, it was the book was coming out, whatever. And did your success change you? And I said, I sure hope so. That's what
every day I hope I'm a little different.
Yeah, I hope it changed me because, more eyes, more ears, more everything, more reach, more all of that, it better of, so change is the thing we're actually looking for. We honor that. We want that.
Yeah. Growth, a change in perspective. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Absolutely.
hypnosis provides that beautiful, I'm glad you said the perspective word, because perspective really fixes everything. If you think about your troubles in the past, your, even horrors in the past, it was the perspective of which you came from.
Of course.
And that perspective is always looking for, I guess, an opinion to make it right. And so when you're a healthful person, helpful and healthful, and you're seeking optimal health, then who better than you, and literally from the neck up, to run your body and your mind and your life than your subconscious. That's actually where it is run. Symbolism, your emotions, how you feel about things, memories, all of those things come from that soft, squeezy, lovey part, which is in the subconscious, how we exude, right? So we're not just mechanical conscious beings. We exude and we feel and we live, and that's coming from your subconscious.
Yeah, everything that we are, I think that
Yeah.
everything that we each would say is uniquely us comes from our subconscious.
Right. So the conscious is what you are, and the subconscious is who you are.
Is that what you mean in the book when you say soul spirit? Is that the same thing?
I add soul spirit. Clinical hypnotherapists sometimes do, and sometimes they don't. I do because I just have to. Everyone believes in something, even if your belief is science. For my non-spiritual believers, they believe in the universe and the star and the moon because it's science, it's fact, it's data. They love that. My mathematicians, they love that. I have a beautiful human being, friend that wrote something lovely for the book, Mark Mangini, who's a musician, Oscar winner. And, so science, beats of music, math, all of these things, that's their soul spirit. That's who they are. So it was to honor and to hearken to that part of us, because it is part of us. No matter what it is you believe. You can be atheist, you can be agnostic. I don't care if you believe the color pink exists or doesn't. What it is you do believe in something. And even if you're a scientist, you believe in a petri dish where, this cell meets that cell and starts to grow.
Right. Divide, multiply, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm just breathing into it. So how does like the nitty gritty of this actually work? So I get relaxed. All my muscles are all relaxed. I'm in a totally cool space.
Mm-hmm.
I'm breathing. I'm trying to let the light in. And then what?
So let's say that, because you brought up food addiction, that's a good one. So we start to imagine certain things. So for example, with food addiction, I want you to imagine the things, and in our little pre-interview, and if you're self-hypnotizing, you know what your desires are, what you want to be eating, what you don't want to be eating. It's basically 2 lists. And so I take your list of what you don't want to be eating, and I start to vilify it, and I start to create an aversion to it. So I might have you walking on a beautiful sandy beach. Let's just say you love the beach. Where's your favorite place in the world? I love the beach. So I have you walking on a beautiful sandy beach, enjoying the sunshine. I've got you dressed in white. You can feel yourself. You can hear yourself. You can see yourself. You're having a complete body, I love me experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I have you happen upon the foods that you love. There's a buffet set out for you.
Okay.
And of course, there's fabulous people there, fabulous lighting, fabulous beverage, because with every eating protocol, I always do like a beverage protocol too, because a lot of my people are like, I love wine with a good cheese.
Sure.
So we make healthy food, whatever that means to you, with sparkling water, with beautiful fruits in it, or whatever your thing is, whatever we established for, that's your thing. And so everybody's fabulous and everybody's amazing. And then you decide to leave that party because you notice some clouds rolling in. So you start walking towards the clouds because you're ever so curious. And as you walk towards the clouds, you look out and you start to see this floating raft. And this raft is like moving. There's movement on the raft, but you can't quite make it out. So you go closer, closer. Anyway, all of a sudden the smell and the thing and what you're seeing is, creatures with like tar and gnashing teeth. And you start to have these things. So for example, let's say cheese. I mean, I can do some really awful things with cheese, as you can imagine. and rice. Really good at that. So anyway, whatever that thing is you don't want, you see it and it stinks. So we're hitting all the senses, the smell, the sight, the sound, and it's like, and it's reaching for you. And now it's reaching for you and calling your name. And now, oh my gosh, I've got to run because this is horrible. And the cheese is, infected, horrible things. And the maggots are the rice. I mean, it gets really bad. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can go there. And I do. I like make no, qualm about just having you experience the worst possible thing. Even oftentimes I'll even like do a little snip of my hair and I'll burn it so that you can smell like burning. Yeah, oh yeah, because nobody likes that. No. And so so that you're so put off by that food group or those things that no longer serve you ecologically in your body, that you run for your life, you turn from the plank floating toward you, calling your name. And, it's supposed to be as horrible of a nightmare as I can create from your perspective. Sure. So you turn and you run and, oh my gosh, your friends are waiting and they're waiting by that same table with all your yummy food. They're up on this deck. There's music, there's dancing. They're so fabulous. They look so good. They look like you. They're all dressed in white. It's that. So we're completely creating an aversion to the negative and bringing you back, no pun intended, to the light, to the things. You're so appreciative for your body. The sun's starting to set. You're running on the beach. You're doing cartwheels. You're doing your movement and things, and your hair is perfect, and your skin. Back to that time when you see yourself as perfect. We're always trying to get to that time where you loved yourself. There's always a point in time. You could have been in high school. It doesn't matter when you were, but that point in time where you're really in your body and you're really feeling it. And then no one has trouble with their eating habits. They're so turned off by that it's like, it's a slam dunk every time.
So way back when my mom used hypnotherapy to quit smoking, it was like that. Somebody created a very negative picture.
Oh yeah.
Five sensory depiction of the disgustingness of cigarettes so that she didn't want them anymore.
Oh yeah.
I never actually asked her because I was like a teenager at the time. So it was more than 30 years ago, probably.
Oh yeah. No, that's exactly how you do it. Aversion is very powerful. You can do it with people that you shouldn't be around. You can do it with situations you shouldn't be around, places you shouldn't be, you can do it with anything. It's really powerful because our subconscious, its first prime directive is your survival. And so if you give it anything that's going to kill you or anything that's going to hurt you or damage you, and you frame it that way, your subconscious is like, of course. So there's not going to be any mindless, unconscious eating of, stuff in front of the TV. I mean, a lot of the things that we consume are things that are just mindless eating, grabbing because it's there or whatever. And so all of that is just done. The aversion works beautifully. Thank goodness for it.
So in a sense, what you're doing is reprogramming the primal part of our brain, that lower 100%. Part of the brain. 100%. So rather than needing lots and lots of repetition, we're condensing the effectiveness of it in a way.
Right. Because your choices come from a lot of times emotions, and how do you feel depends on what you grab. So people will say, oh, well, because, I broke up with Johnny and I ate a tub of ice cream, or, my job was stressful today, so I drank a bottle of whatever. That's how we choose our food. Oftentimes is not for our physical body, but for our emotional
masking
body.
Our emotions. Yeah.
Right. So it puts an end to all of that because you're cutting through the layer of emotions, excuses, reasons. You're cutting through everything, and you're saying that this slime that's out on the plank, or it can be someone chasing you in a car. Your food can be, like, oh my gosh, the potatoes are coming, and the potato people, and you're driving and you're looking and you're
it's like Jurassic Park with the T-Rex chasing you down the road, right?
Potato people, and those eyes on the potato are popping out, and they're dinging in the back of the head. going to implant you with potato seeds, which is very like disturbing. So like horrible. And, you know, you open the potato and it's rotting and there's things moving in it. And then you realize it's not a potato at all. It's just a disease ball, you know? I mean, it's like,
I don't think
hey,
I love potatoes. I'm never going to be able to look at them again without seeing maggots. Thank you very much.
Every time I look at rice, I think, is it moving? I mean, because it works on me too. Remember, I'm sitting there. So as I'm doing this, it is so funny. I'll go in wherever and my husband will say, oh, what do you want? I'm like, salad, please.
Yeah, definitely not rice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I hear it too. So yeah, it affects. And chocolate, you can do some amazing things with chocolate. You can do crazy things with sugars. And I mean, it's really so good. So you just think of what's your biggest nightmare and then make that your food, you know, of those things, of course, that are not good for you.
So you can do this yourself. So if we follow your 6 steps that you outline in the book and we get ourselves into that trance state, that twilight
it's state. So easy. Yeah, you go into it so many times a day anyway. Let me just, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, I'm so sorry.
No, please do.
What I mean by that is we go, and I didn't exactly cover this, is we're always in trance. So for example, and not constantly, but always. So for example, when you're watching the TV and your eyes just kind of blur out, or you're driving on that stretch of road and you didn't think consciously how you even got there, you know, sometimes you're surprised, you're just on automatic pilot. That's it.
How the hell did I get home?
Staring at the refrigerator inside, you know, oh, I forgot what I came in here for. I thought I was hungry, looking at a fire, watching children play, or a dog with a ball. We're always in this trance state because that's our natural state. Our natural state is not wired and frazzled,
hypervigilance,
anxiety ridden. Right, exactly. That's not where we're meant to be. Our greatest inspirations, aha moments, and these amazing inclinations we have come from that other place. And that's the place where you also happen to fix your issues.
Makes so much sense. I just had an aha moment. So after my mother died in 2013, very toxic relationship, bipolar, narcissistic, self-medicated, opiate addict. No, her name was
my sister.
No, her name was Janet, and she tried to fix her bipolarity herself with opiates, which was really not the way to go. And
common.
Yeah, she took no responsibility whatsoever for her own happiness, her own success, her own whatever. Always expected her meaning and happiness and everything to come from the outside, and was always pissed at people because nobody could do it for her and she didn't want responsibility for it. Anyway, so she died and I was left with trying to figure out how to make sense out of all of that in a way that made me healthy and kept me from passing along that toxic bullshit to my kids.
Right.
So I'm also a visual artist. I've always, in times of stress or in times of confusion, gravitated towards writing and mostly drawing and painting. And so I set up this drafting table that I'm now using as a home studio for the podcast, and I painted and I painted and I painted and I painted, and I would get into that flow state, which I'm now calling trance because of you. And I found all of my answers without really looking for them. They just bubbled up to the surface and showed up one by one. I started putting things together like little Legos, snapping into place, and suddenly all this stuff made sense. I mean, it took years. It's not like suddenly on a Tuesday 4:30 it was all there, but yeah, it totally made sense to me. And suddenly I realized that all the things that I had learned from my mother were not true. And that the only person who was responsible for me was me.
Right. You're responsible for your own comfort on this planet.
And my own healing. I had to give myself permission to heal, permission to go and do what I needed to do, or, you know, and that's where it all came from.
You know, it's
so I was not meditating. I was like hypnotizing myself.
Oh yeah, no. And we do that. We hypnotize ourselves to the negative too. You know, oftentimes a client, as I finish up, they'll be, you know, we'll come back up, you know, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're relaxed and you're aware in every way and blah, blah, blah. And they come back up, and then all of a sudden boy, am I glad I don't feel like that anymore. And I'm like, no.
You just undid it.
No. Well, not undid it, but let's not focus on what you're not anymore. And let's enjoy and breathe into what you are, because that's your natural you. People, I mean, you'll still meet people, it amazes me, that think that life is kind of supposed to still be hard and painful and upsetting and all these things. And that's just not the case. Your life can be, if you choose it that way. Obviously things happen, but perspective is everything. It's your perspective on what's happening. We learn that when you're a child. It's not what happened, Johnny, it's how you're viewing it, so you can turn that around. But the fact that your comfort is up to you on this planet and in this experience and in your marriage and in your mommydom and in your classrooms with your children, your students, your comfort is on you. From the time someone comes into my home office, I say, your comfort while you were here is up to you. I want to hear if you're cold, if you're warm, if you need to go potty. I want to hear it all. If you're hungry, if you want something crunchy or you want a straw or anything, I want to know, because your comfort is on you. So, speak up. And same thing in the universe, speak up.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So you use a phrase in your book that you use, I think, to describe transformation. You call it soul travel. What does that mean?
Well, really arc from here to there. Where are we headed? Where are we going? For example, if you go to your school reunions, you might see people that are the same, and you might see people that have moved, or have evolved or have changed. There's been, the idea is that our spirit and our soul, and this is probably more of the woo-woo part of the book for sure, but it comes really through your subconscious. So for example, a lot of people come because I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. A lot of people come because they're depressed and they don't know why they're depressed. I have one right now, a client that is starting to self-carnivorize, not literally, but figuratively, picking on herself in so many ways because she's not exuding out. So she needs to experience things outside of her resources. So that we use hypnosis for. I mean, you could say, well, Joanne, she travels a lot. Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your experiences within your own capacity. Okay. Getting involved with someone else's experience is actually the best way to get out of yourself. So whether it's a charity for someone who's, less fortunate than you, whether it's a company or, a systemized thing, but something where you're moved. That soul travel can be that. It can be astral travel while you're sleeping. There's another, way that I use that in the book, where you're really so tuned in that you literally leave your body. Now, not scientifically. I don't want anyone to, remote viewing is another fantastic way. One of the things I set up when I do speaking engagements is I give everyone a closed sealed envelope. And in that envelope is an image. And that image is going to be something big, like a car or an avocado or a hat or a sun or something that's real, super simple.
Okay.
And I ask them with a pen to draw into, just hold the envelope and just draw on it, doodle on it, write words on it, whatever you feel moved to do that. And sure enough, when you open up that envelope, it's very similar, if not just straightforward, the object. Either
without ever knowing what the object was beforehand.
Exactly. Because with remote viewing, we forget that we are powerful beings and we have so much capacity for information, even that we don't have immediate impressions on. So for example, you don't have access to that photo or that magazine clipping.
Sure.
So you don't have that access to that impression, but you do. You just have it in another way. So for example, I was at, I think it was ABC in New York, and I was sitting in the lobby, and the gentleman that does their medical news division came out who I was meeting with, and I said, pick an envelope, any envelope. So he takes one and he starts to draw resistantly, but he draws like a dog's face. He goes, I know why I drew this. He hands it back to me. He goes, I drew it because we have to watch our neighbor's dog this weekend, and remembering, that I'm handing him like fanning out like cards, pick an envelope.
Right.
So that's like skill set number one. So he says, because we're watching this neighbor's dog and my wife is like a thing, because we shouldn't really be watching the dog, but we are. So it's this whole thing. So anyway, I drew a dog, but here, let's just do this anyway. Hands me the envelope. I open it up and it's for a dog food ad.
Wow. Was he a believer then?
I kid you not. And he's like, well, of course I would pick that because, and I go, yeah, that's the thing. Of course you would pick that because you had all the options.
Right.
And you pick that. Why? Because it's here. You're clearly so consumed with this big thing that's happening this weekend that you even chose the envelope that had something to do with it. Then you even engineered the whole thing with the dog face on it, so you really are locked. I mean, it was the most beautiful, perfect thing to me for what I do, right? Because the brain was just in it the whole time. And so the conscious mind, may not want, when I see children, in my practice, I do that also because, they're very graphic and they respond great to imagery. So it'll be like this boy did a big, what he thought was the sun. He drew it like a kind of a circle. I think it was an oval. So he drew it kind of oval, and then he drew rays off of it. And the whole time he's handing it to me, he's apologizing. Oh, my circle's not a circle. And the rays, they should probably look better, but here. He's like, I think 12 at the time or something. And I said, thank you so much. And I open it up and it's a picture of a diamond ring, oval shaped diamond, with sparkles coming off of it because of the way it was lit and the way they shot it. It was a photo of a ring, but you could see the prism shooting off of it. And they were the same shape of the things and exactly how many rays. I mean, it was like identical. Wow. And so he was apologizing. So the conscious mind steps in and goes, this is right? But the subconscious he knows, that little 8-year-old inside knows and goes, I got this, I'm on this. So it's a fun thing to try at home. You can do it yourself. Have someone else stuff the envelopes for you. Just pull out
try it in my classes.
It's neat. It can't be something like what's behind you because there's too many, your artwork behind, there's too many things going on. It needs to be something that's a very set, for beginners. Yeah. Tons of fun. I highly recommend it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I like that. So just to I don't know. We have in our culture, I think, in the movies, people have always talked about, like if you're hypnotized, that you're gonna meow like a cat or squawk like a chicken, and that you're not going to remember any of it when you wake up. There's no truth to that whatsoever.
Well, there is and there isn't. So the memory part of it, I can ask the subconscious to not remember what we've spoken of. I can do that. I ask clients, do they want to remember this or do they not want to remember this? And conclusively, they all do want to remember it. So, but you can say you won't remember.
Is it more effective to remember or to not remember, or it's just personal preference?
It kind of depends because like normally with like really heavy trauma where someone can only think of the trauma that happened, PTSD and things like that, it can behoove people. I'd have to think of like a specific instance where that was the case. I'm sure I've had them over the years. Mm-hmm. I feel like I go in to resolve the issue so that they can think of the issue and not have the emotional attachment. That's my preference. Sure. I don't want a memory loss or block on really anything in someone's life. What I want is the emotional like thread, cord, rope, chain, whatever level of attachment that is, to be detached so that they're free to talk about the event. Because if we do that to someone, then, or, have them do it to themselves, then at a dinner party, something could come up where their information about something could be tremendously helpful to someone else, mm-hmm. provided that they don't, have this inappropriate emotional attachment to that thing. So I'd rather go in and sever that emotion. And in fact, that's one of the major things I do and am known for, is doing that with addicts, doing that with people who, you know, are depressed or suicidal or can't get out of their own way for whatever reason, all of those things. Because when you take that emotion away, all of a sudden the weight is lifted. All of a sudden you feel free. All of a sudden you feel back like yourself, like you did when you were 8, he, she.
Sure.
You know, you feel like you can move about the planet as you deserve to. You know, that's your birthright.
Free and buoyant and light and
unencumbered.
and
otherwise, you know, why?
Right. Exactly. So your book, Subconscious Power, Using Your Inner Mind to Create the Life You've Always Wanted, is available on your website. We're available wherever you buy books.
I have it right here.
It's a lovely cover. I love the blue.
Thank you.
And yeah, I'm still working my way through it. I tried to finish it before the interview and I just couldn't quite get
That's okay. Savor it. You know, I like to feel like
it's something I wanted to rush. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to feel like it's more of a manual for people. Throw it in your, you know, drawer next to your bed or in your office drawer, wherever, because it's one of those things that you go to when there's a hitch. You know, yes, the basics are awesome, but when there's a hitch, run to it, because it's designed to help you through. It's designed to be an addendum to your life.
Makes sense. So before we end, I like to do the 7 quick questions with my guests, if you're ready to play.
Sure.
So what 6 words would you use to describe yourself?
Energetic, hopeful, optimistic, sometimes cranky. Does that have to count as 2?
No.
Sometimes cranky. Intense. I lost track.
One more.
I would say introspective.
That makes sense. What's your favorite way to spend a day?
Doing exactly what I want to do, whatever that is.
Whatever that is.
I feel
that's the best answer.
Freedom, right? No, I feel such a sense of freedom when there's something that I get to do and not have to do.
Yes.
I just feel like, hallelujah.
Want tos are amazing. Yeah. We have too many have tos. Oh my God.
Yes.
What's your favorite childhood memory?
I think softball games. Yeah, I
playing them or watching them?
Shortstop. I played, and I had to have bubble gum. I had a whole ritual. Hair had to be back in a ponytail, bubble gum, basically like very ritualistic about the whole thing. That's cool. And that's also cool. From the subconscious, all of our symbolism and ritualism. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm going to have to think about that. What's your favorite meal?
I think salad. Because you see the plank in the ocean? Do you know the monsters that are on that plank of the other food? No, I really do. I crave greens. And I found an amazing, you know, we're in Las Vegas and there aren't amazing greens here. Sorry, Las Vegas, but there just aren't. And I order them from
you're in a desert, so, you know.
Oh, yeah. No. And I mean, farmers markets and things, I mean, it just doesn't exist, not to my liking. So anyway, I found a website that I'm like, greens, give me greens. I love them. People think I'm nuts, but I think it's because of all the hypnosis I do with,
you probably have this aversion to all those other things you shouldn't eat anyway. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it's true.
That's cool. I'm going to have to try this. What's one piece of advice you would like to give your younger self?
Oh gosh, enjoy it more. I took everything so serious. I think I still do a little bit. Yeah. I try to really, my web or my email is Lighten Up. And so like Lighten Up Life. And so that is it. And the reason I chose that email or created that email was so that every time I wrote it or said it or looked at it or whatever, it would be a reminder to do that, to lighten up. I think I could have a lot more, I know I could have a lot more fun, but I want to remind myself to do that because everything, you know, I take pretty serious.
Yeah. I've had to, in recent months, I guess, maybe since the pandemic started, I've realized that as an adult, I sort of forgot how to have fun and forgot that it was important to have fun. You know, I do my artwork, which I sort of consider play, but I wouldn't consider that like exuberant fun. And I got to figure out how to do that.
It's pleasing, but not necessarily fun.
Right. Right. I don't know what that is right now. I have to figure that out.
I had a little crisis, like I don't know what to even call it, but at the new year, I felt like, gosh, I need to have a sense of play, much like what you're explaining and or describing. And I thought, what could make me like feel that way? Like, what could I do? So I took up piano. Nice. I have a beautiful piano in my office. I took up piano just on an app, Simply Piano. And it's so good. I mean, I can play like a lot of songs now. And I knew nothing. I knew like, this is middle C. I took piano as a child, but like no retention.
Right.
And so this is middle C. And I mean, I can play like popular songs.
Wow.
This app is really cool. So then
this is just since January?
Oh yeah. Oh no, it said I'm like 4 months ahead of like the plan because I love it so much that I wake up in the morning and I run down to the piano and then I practice. We went away for like a week and I said, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to piano? And then I thought, what could I do physical that would feel like that 8-year-old sense of play? So I retook up golf. And I ran out, I got some lessons. I went this morning before you and I spoke and I hit some balls and I have this thing where 100 balls a day. So even that I take serious. So if I hit 100 balls a day, putt them, chip them, hit them, whatever I do with them, then I'll get better fast. Right. So yes, that sense of play, find your thing and treat yourself. For you, you know, I'm sure it's your artwork is, even though you feel like it's passive and it's not, you know, fun, it's satisfying and pleasing. That part of
you. And I can't wait I bought these new round canvases at Five Below. Who would have thought that they would sell canvas, but they were really cheap and they're like 12-inch round circles.
What are they? Are they canvas material?
No, canvases stretched on round stretched canvases. And I just can't wait. I'm like envisioning florals. I just can't wait.
See? Neat.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So that excites that little part of you. And, you know, that's what we can hope for in this lifetime, you know, a new friend or, you know, a new activity. Like those are so important because it gives you that joy back. It gives you that spark.
Makes so much sense. What is one thing you would most like to change about the world?
The cruelty.
Yeah.
I don't know. To each other, animals, life itself. Yuck. Yuck. Yes. Yuck.
Okay. Now, completely changing tactics. What TV shows are you binging right now?
Oh my goodness. So I think, is it Nat Geo or on Discovery? There's one about, what's the name of it? It's about animals and it's really good. So my husband and I are super into photography and we love videography and all that. And they're now putting little cameras inside the carcass of the animal that the other animal's eating. So those Nat Geo, and I'm going to say it's Nat Geo, but I really don't know because when I found it, it's like on everything. They have apes. We watch the ones on birds and we watch the ones on cats. So birds, it's the bald eagle they follow and they do, you know, the little babies and they like literally have the camera in the nest with the babies. It's fascinating how they do that. And then when we watched the cat one, it was, you know, pumas and lions and tigers and all these things. And so now from a artistic standpoint, right? They put the camera in the carcass of the animal that the animal's eating.
So you're watching the animal eat the carcass?
Yes. So from the inside, it's just like a few flashes, you know, like, but there's like a moment where you see inside the ribs, you know, like it's wild. It's a new technique. It's new. It's never, you know, we watch. It's
interesting that they're able to implant it in there without the scent disturbing the animal.
Oh yeah. Or I'm sure they do eat it, you know, by accident, I would imagine, you know, or something, or maybe they have it on a stick. I don't know, but it would be a whole
endoscopies of animals.
Yeah. A whole pride of lions that just took down a wildebeest. And then they have, I mean, again, I don't know how they do this without interruption. but they have the camera inside the carcass. That's all new. So very exciting for us.
Wow. I'm going to have to
In
look
the
to you.
world
What's
of,
it called?
so, I wish I could tell you, and I don't remember now. It's something about
I'll
like the
Google it.
life of
I can
animals or
Google
something.
everything.
Yes, it's the latest, greatest thing. There's probably 8 or 10 episodes. It just came out. I couldn't tell you if it's on Discovery or Peacock or where I found it. When I found it, I know the first one's apes, then it's birds, and then it's all these, amazing animals. Dogs,
Wow.
there's dogs, cats, and by dogs, they mean wolves and things
Sure.
like that. By cats, they mean, exotic cats.
Big
But
cats.
wild. Yeah, so wild.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
so cool.
So the other ones, for the fun ones, the thing about Pam and the dropout. So the dropout is about Elizabeth Holmes from Theranos, and the thing about Pam is Renee Zegweller, and she's it's kind of, I love Keith Morrison. I had my own little Dateline story, and so I know him and I love him. And so he narrates this show, Thing About Pam, in a different kind of format than they've ever done, and it's with Renee Zegweller playing this woman called Pam Hupp. Fascinating.
Wow. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, write that down. That I think is Hulu. And I believe The Dropout is Hulu. And that's Amanda Seyfried that
I love her.
Plays her. Yeah. She nails it. Nails it. Nails
Awesome.
it. She seems more like Elizabeth Holmes to me than Elizabeth Holmes does now.
Wow.
Nailed it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I was watching last night. I had totally forgotten that it had come out. The movie Spencer, where Kristen Stewart played Princess Diana.
Yes.
And
I struggled with that.
It was very dark. I found myself sort of in a very fragile mood when that was over, but very powerful. And I have seen Kristen Stewart in a whole lot of other things, but she did such a great job that I forgot that I was looking at her and I wasn't looking at like a documentary of Princess Diana. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was very
And
cool.
she's not my natural inclination to go to for her either.
No.
Never in a million.
I was shocked because to me, she's always Bella Swan from Twilight,
Right.
Like my daughter and I was obsessed with that 10 years ago,
Right. Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, Kimberly, this has been really wonderful. Thank you so much for giving me this, giving all of us this hour. I really, truly appreciate you and everything that you've taught us and shared with us. This has been wonderful.
I appreciate you too, honey. And it's so nice to know you. And hopefully our paths will cross as many times as they can.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Hopefully. Thank you so much.
Okay. Be well.
Bye. Don't go anywhere. So since interviewing Kimberly Friedmutter and reading her book, I tried her self-hypnosis techniques to see if they would work. And I chose one food item, since food seems to be my struggling point. And I used her techniques to self-hypnotize myself against brownies. So I thought about her beach, and I thought about the lovely white flowing skirt that I'd be wearing, and I thought about all of the healthy food and the mangoes and the blueberries that I love, and all sorts of delicious healthy food. And then I saw floating in the water maggot infested moldy brownies. And I imagined what they smelled like, and I imagined what they looked like, and I imagined what they would feel like. And it was so detestable and so disgusting that when I came out of my self-meditative / trance state, I had a revulsion to brownies. And here we are 3-4 weeks since the interview, and I still am off brownies. The thought of them makes me, it's revolting, makes me physically nauseous. So it works. Now, if I went and I forced myself to eat some brownies, I probably could undo it. So my guess is that my behavior has to be parallel to or in line with the thing that I was trying to self-hypnotize myself against, obviously. So, but it works. I just thought I'd share that with you. So I'm going to move on to other foods and see what happens.
Hi, I'm so excited to share with you the new Permission to Heal bookshop on bookshop.org. We all know how important it is to support our local and independent bookshops, and I've created a podcast-dedicated bookshop on bookshop.org. So just follow along with me at Permission to Heal bookshop on bookshop.org. The link will be attached to the post, and you can have access to the entire catalog of books by my expert guests. You can just click and order from the independent bookshops and support everyone. It's pretty awesome. I've also put a bookshelf with my own Permission to Land books on it, and all sorts of books for inspirational help and books that I love. So join me on bookshop.org with the bookshop, the Permission to Heal bookshop.
I am very proud of this Permission to Heal podcast. I want to thank all of you for listening each week, and I'm so glad that it speaks to you. Creating and producing this podcast brings joy to my life, but honestly, I need your help because I find commercials annoying when I listen to podcasts. I don't have commercials on Permission to Heal. I pay for the costs of creating, producing, and marketing this podcast out of my own pocket, and I'm happy to do so, except that times are kind of tough right now, and I could use your help. So through Patreon and a Patreon subscription, you can support the Permission to Heal podcast and help ensure that I'm able to make more episodes and share them with the world. There are several subscription levels that come with different perks and swag. If you're able to, and if you are inclined to, I would really, really appreciate your help. Please go to www.patreon.com/permission to heal. Patreon, patreon.com/permission to heal. And it's linked in the show notes. So scroll down, click away. Thank you so much for your consideration. I hope you and your families are well and happy. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Permission to Heal. I hope you found it moving and inspirational. Please remember, you don't need anyone else's permission to trust and follow your heart. You have the power within you. Subscribe to Permission to Heal so you don't miss any new episodes, and please share this with your friends.